Welcome to 500 Doors, your real estate podcast. Speaking with industry experts in real estate buying, selling, planning, developing, wholesaling, investing, financing, and management. If it's real estate, we're talking about it. I'm your host, Kim Hayden, an award-winning 6- and 7-figure real estate agent with over 2 decades of experience. Understanding real estate is a dream for many, that we, real estate professionals, have the ability to bring that dream to reality while building better communities and being the change we want to see. All righty, welcome to the show, Beth.
Thank you.
I'm excited because your stomping grounds are, basically everybody loves where you live. Everybody globally, everybody knows where you are. So,
Everyone does know whether they love it or what their opinion of it is always something very
oh, there's always something good. There's always
I
something
think so,
good.
for sure.
All righty, Beth, bring us up to speed. Who is Beth Lowe and what market do you serve?
I'm Beth Lowe. I'm an associate broker with Douglas Elliman based out of Long Island, New York. I cover the whole island and a little bit into Queens. I'm licensed in 2 offices, my hometown of Babylon and another office in New Hyde Park, which is on the Queens-Nassau County border. So that way, no matter where you are, I can also be there.
And what got you into real estate? Why real estate? And how first of all, how long have you been in real estate?
I have been in real estate for 15 years, which if you do the math, that is around 2009. And we all know what was happening in 2009. And, my life and the market were in very similar positions. They were both in turmoil. I had just left a marriage that I was actually married to a painkiller addict, and he was a little abusive to say the least. So I had left that marriage. He actually overdosed and passed away shortly after I left. And he left me with about $250,000 worth of debt, a Mustang that was stick shift that I absolutely could not drive. And I was 31 years old and living on Long Island, and I had to completely start over from scratch. And when I say from scratch, I don't even think I had a friend. Like I had a random friend here and there, because when you're in that type of relationship, you become very isolated because you don't want everyone to know what's happening. And so I had isolated myself over the years. So I found myself with no money. I had also lost my job in Manhattan because of everything that was going on in the economy. And it was always my dream to be a real estate agent. And everyone kind of looked at me like I was a little bit crazy at that time. But sometimes what you don't know, you don't know. I didn't know that, I didn't know how bad the market was. I didn't have the frame of reference of being in the market in 2005 and 6. So I kind of came in at a point where people needed help and they needed someone to be empathetic, not the person who was making $1 million a year up until the year before. Their house was now in foreclosure. They needed to do a short sale. Their marriage was ending because of financial problems. And that's kind of where I found myself. And I was very easily able to relate to the sellers in that market, and also the buyers, because the buyers were kind of my age. So it kind of worked both ways, where I was really able to be empathetic to people and guide them through the process. And then I was also able to help a lot of first-time home buyers, which are still my clients today. We've kind of gone through the years together.
And that's one of the common threads that I see amongst top producing real estate agents is that they not only attract, but they retain. They retain clients. It's interesting. National Association of Realtors had a study done a few years back, and that said that something like 73% of people would have called their real estate agent they used prior had they been able to stay connected, had they even remembered how to contact that agent. And that to me shows that that agent did not retain that
I,
content.
that's crazy to me, because my
I
clients
know.
hear from me all the time. Sometimes I think they're sick of me. But But they hear from me monthly with either like a newsletter or a
Mhm.
postcard. I experiment with different things. They always get a Christmas card with who you hear barking in the background right now, which is Dallas, my little Chihuahua mix.
Oh,
Who
that's hilarious. Dallas is my son's best friend.
really? So he gets sent out on a Christmas card every year, and
That's
you'd be
awesome.
surprised how many times I go into the house and there's his card from even a couple of years ago because they're like, "Oh, he's so cute. I couldn't throw him away. Oh my god, he's so
Oh, fun.
adorable."
Do you put hats on him?
No, he does not wear clothes.
He does not wear clothes.
He does
Okay.
not wear clothes.
Okay.
I've tried. When we
Nope.
put
No
clothes on,
props. No props for Dallas.
no, we just collapse. We don't like clothes. And then I also make sure I keep in touch like on social media. Oh my God, Allison, I can't believe she graduated from high school today. She was 4 years old when you bought that house. Oh my God, this is like so crazy to see. And also a home anniversary card, which is super important. And lately I've been including a little scratch off ticket with it. And I say,
Brilliant.
you know, I used to do a Starbucks gift card, but then I was like, that's kind of getting lame, and $5 at Starbucks is not that exciting. So I switched to a $5 scratch off, and then I say, let me know if you win. And you'd be surprised the amount of people who text me like, drinks on you tonight. I won $50. I won the, so it's like it's a little interactive, so it makes it kind of fun.
So you're really bringing your clients into your world and you're going into their world. It's like it's not just transactional, it has a whole engagement to it or a relationship to it.
Absolutely.
What do you think, how did you come to that? Because that definitely separates from a lot of the real estate agents, Let's talk about um how you got into that space. Is that just by nature, or did you see some mentoring that you saw? What was it that you
I think
wanted to be more than just a transactional agent?
I so I learned very early on. My first brokerage was an REO broker, and because obviously, given the times that we were in, I thought that would be a good idea. And he was so transactional that I left. I did not, I'd be like, oh, I did the open house here this weekend. There was mold in the basement. Well, just wipe it down. I'm like, no, that's how can I sell this house? Like knowing what's wrong with it, So
Yeah.
it kind of spun me on a different path. And when I left him, he told me no one would ever give me a listing. No one would ever want to work with me. No, and it's funny because he's kept in touch with me over the years, and he's always like, "Okay, I guess I was wrong about you. Congratulations on that. Congratulations on that. Congratulations on that award, Realtor of the Year. This, that, that." So he kind of inadvertently spun me into a different direction where I didn't want to feel the way I felt after selling some of those houses, which was shame and embarrassment. I wanted to be you know, the one that they would call. Like I just had a client I sold a house to 3 years ago. On Sunday, she started sending me the pictures of the furniture and everything and wanted my opinion. And, like I want to be that person because that's who I am. I don't want to be the person that drives away from the closing like, oh, well, we really got one over on them. Like to me, that's not a good way. That's not a good way to live. I definitely live, I live by karma, and
Yeah.
I believe in treating other people's clients the same way I want my clients treated. I'm always about doing the right thing, even when it's not always in your best interest as the agent to do something, but we're there to represent our clients, and I feel like that has like kind of fallen along the wayside to some people.
I would agree. I think that over the last 10 years, we've seen a lot of people come into real estate as almost like a get rich quick
Right. And
scheme.
the TV shows aren't helping.
29 years of HGTV.
Not those. I'm talking
Oh,
about some
the
of the
other
other
ones.
ones.
Okay. I don't know. I don't watch TV a whole lot. I
Okay.
only go specifically for what I'm looking for. No, I've watched those ones, where $1 Million Listing and all of these
I love
ones.
Million
And
Dollar Listing. Those are my colleagues and I absolutely adore them.
yeah,
Some of these other
but
ones
but
like selling
What?
Sunset, where they're literally
Oh, yes, that
like
one.
Christie's and they're showing a $40 million house. Like that is not realistic.
No, it's not real. So I don't watch any of those shows because I personally have never. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but I personally have never closed a house just on a phone.
No.
I I have never just done a deal just on the phone or just by text. It has always had some sweat in it. At
Always.
times, there's been an additional appliance in there. At times, there's been, okay, we got to bridge 2 weeks of living. Who's going to keep the dog? You know. So,
Exactly.
I mean, I've watched some of those shows, and it's like, what am I making this hard? But I think those shows oversimplify. They don't
Yes.
show the real grit that
The
goes on
real,
behind.
like, when the deal's falling apart and it's New Year's Eve and you're trying to you're trying to keep everybody together and keep everything moving along, and we're fighting over a washer dryer that's 15 years old, and you know
Yep.
all those
Yep.
nitty-gritty things that no one likes to see, but it's the
Well,
reality of the business.
it is the reality of the business. Why do you think that newer agents or maybe less accomplished agents are afraid to say to the homeowner, by the way, we're going to exclude initially your washer and dryer. However, you need to be prepared. It's going to go with the house. We're not going to lose a deal over house.
Of course.
Why do you think less experienced or newer agents don't approach those conversations and circumvent the lost deal or the feeling of that all agents are sneaky, that you know what I'm saying? Like, I think we still perpetuate some of these negative thoughts around the industry.
I think they're not comfortable having difficult conversations because they never really had to have them. If you just got into the industry within the last 3 or 4 years, which I think the statistic on how many agents have only been in the business since like 2020, I don't know, I forgot the number. I think it's like something like 70% of the agents. So those agents have never worked in the type of market that someone like me started out in, where every conversation was uncomfortable. Literally every conversation. I did not have a positive conversation on a listing appointment from 2009 to 2014. 2014 was the first year that I actually walked into someone's house and told them I could sell it for more than they actually thought. And having those conversations really prepared me. And we weren't in a position to lose deals back then. A normal offer on a $300,000 house was coming in at $200,000, and we didn't laugh.
Mm.
We went to work and we got the deal done. And if you just started recently, you know, if someone gives you a listing, let's say you're listing it at 500,000, and your first offer is going to be 550. So you're not having those uncomfortable conversations with people because you haven't had to. So it's really just a lack of experience, and it's not something that you could learn from reading a book or watching a TV show. It's something that has to come from inside you to be able to say to somebody, well, I am the expert. Like, a lot of times, a lot of sellers today and a lot of buyers today, they have access to so much information. So what makes you still the expert? You need to be able to relay why they can't do this themselves and they shouldn't do this themselves. And if they do this themselves, they're going to end up losing more money than they would have paid you in commission, which, you know, I think is a really
Yeah.
important thing to, talk about in today's world, especially with everything going on in the States. But, I watched somebody list a house around the corner from me 2 weeks ago. And by the way, every house around the corner from me has a 1 million in front of it.
Yeah.
And they listed it so low. They listed it with cell phone pictures. Had they listed with an agent, and they're also paying out to a buyer's agent, so they're not having
Yeah.
anyone represent themselves. So to save, let's say $40,000, they're probably losing over 200.
Uh-huh.
I mean, this to me like makes
Yeah.
0 cents, absolutely 0 cents. Like,
The ones that always get me, I had and it's funny because I never forget this client, because they were throwing out, I know this is, you're going to roll your eyes, and you are allowed to roll your eyes because my children do and most of my friends do. But they were throwing out an old Cougar coffee table with the glass top, throwing it out. It was in perfect condition. Just had a few little chips in the. I'm going, ooh, I like that. So I pearlized it and I repainted it, rhinestones in the eyes, and it sits in my front entryway. So people walk in and they do this, right? But I will never forget these people because we helped them. I'm a certified stager. Every home, we don't sell ugly houses. We sell really great houses with great stories to them. And that was kind of always, people always saved our listings for last on their showing list because they knew that if they've gone through the cat pee house and they went through the house that smelled like cabbage, they come to our house, and our house has sight, sound, and scent. It has the five senses all approached,
I like
and
that.
people come in. So they had a bit of music going on, all the lights were on, the place was clean, everything's touched up. It not necessarily is all new, but it's inviting because you feel like you could actually just go into the kitchen and have a cookie,
Right.
which we usually have set out. But so we did all this work. They got top dollar for the house, and then they went and bought a house for sale by owner on the main boulevard with 3 children, and they paid probably $30,000 too much because they went through an open house and the homeowner was a really good salesperson. And so they got sucked into this emotional space. And I think that's one of the benefits a real estate agent does is that we understand homes are emotional. This is part of your story, part of your journey.
Of course.
And we can protect you a little bit.
Exactly.
So, yeah, and I will never forget that. And unfortunately the market did a deep six shortly after that. So they not only were, 20, 30,000 high on that house, they were then now like 100,000 high on that
And it
house.
was on
Like
a main road too.
it
So
was on a main boulevard. I never understood why with 3 young children they bought a house on a main
because
boulevard.
they didn't have the voice of reason, meaning
Yeah.
you being there to say,
Yeah.
'cause that's what I always say. I always say stuff like that, especially when I'm working with a family. The bedrooms are separated. Is that something that's okay with you? We're on a main road. Is that something that's okay with you? And a lot of times people haven't really even thought that through on their own yet. And they're like, oh no, that's actually not okay with me. I
Yeah.
don't like the idea of my bedroom being upstairs and the kids' bedroom being downstairs. I don't like, this. I don't like for me, I don't want to have my front door open and my dog could accidentally run out and get hit by a car. Like these are all things that sometimes when you do get caught up in the emotion of it, and because you love the kitchen and this is the best kitchen I've ever seen, blah 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 blah. Okay, but that doesn't mean this is the best house for the long term. And everyone has different needs and everyone has
Yeah.
different things. I just recently sold a beautiful house to a family with older children. So it
Yes, I was
actually
gonna say
worked
that.
that the master suite or primary suite, whatever we're calling it these days, is on one side of the house, and then all the other bedrooms are on the other side of the house. And there's actually a door with a back staircase going up to the bedrooms. The kids are all in their 20s, so this is like perfect for them.
Yeah.
I was like, the kids can go out in town. They won't even disturb you when you get home. And they were like, this house is so perfect. Like we
Well,
would
and
never find a house like this again.
that's also an ideal home for age in place because then one of the kids they can actually go into the side for the family domain and the parents can go in. You can actually create a mother-in-law suite over on
You
this. So
actually,
that's
yeah, you
actually a
actually
great
said it so
design.
good. Yes.
That is a great design. But I was going to say, people on boulevards, I'm not dissing boulevards. Boulevards are awesome for people who, are single car or no car homes and they need easy access.
Absolutely.
They are ideal if you are moving a family with older children, like, 12 and above, because now they're taking transit or buses for
Yeah.
school. A lot of them are going bus for middle schools and high schools. So I'm not dissing boulevards. I just please don't write in and tell my house is on a
Right.
boulevard and it's awesome. Yes, I'm sure
Yes,
your house is awesome.
different things for different people. Like, not a one size fits all answer.
All righty. Beth, I would love for you to share with us what you believe is a definition of community and how to serve it.
I feel now that I actually live in a community that I love that is centered around a village. I actually joined the Chamber of Commerce. To me, it's like an extension of your family. Like your community becomes your family, your friends become your family. Now I live in a place where, I walk into any establishment in town and I recognize someone, we're saying hi. It's very different than the other places I've lived before, which were bigger, New York City, Queens, more rural, small towns on Long Island. Right now, I live in like a village with like a downtown area. And it's really has taught me what community is. We all come together when something bad happens, we all come together when something good happens. We celebrate the differences in our community. We have a Memorial Day parade and we have a Pride parade, and it's the same people at everything. So to me, it's just a community is just an extension of who we all are. And I think it's really important to find that place where you feel that way. I always say, like, you're not a tree. If you're not happy where you are, you can move. And I'm not just saying that as a real estate agent. I'm saying that as somebody who has literally moved so many times in her life, kind of searching for something like that. And I had found it in this town that I live in now called Babylon, Long Island. And then unfortunately, we had a really bad storm, Superstorm Sandy. And that made me really hesitate to live here because we are surrounded by water. And, I was very scared. I was young, I was in my like mid 30s. So I moved to another town that didn't have that same sense of community, that didn't have that downtown area. And I'm a single girl. So it kind of felt isolating to me. And, where I live now back in Babylon, I can walk places. We have our own ocean beach. There's always something going on in this town. We have block parties where they close off the whole street and have vendors and all kinds of stuff. And ironically, I moved away from Babylon because of scary weather, and a tree fell in the house in the other town that I lived in. So I was like, all right, you can't get away from nature.
Yep.
Nature she has her own, things that she's going to do. So I actually ended up selling that house and moving back to Babylon and really finding, that sense of community. It was during COVID. It was a very like interesting time. And, we kind of like reopened the town, day by day here. And it just kind of really made me realize how important a strong community is, and whatever that, means to you individually. Maybe you want to live in a place where you don't talk to anybody at the coffee shop. I just had
I
a
couldn't even imagine.
I just had a lovely conversation with a girl who's complimented my nails, and now she's going to go to my nail girl.
Yeah.
I just got another customer for a business in town, and I like love
That
stuff like that.
that is, and see, that is, I think it used to be the butcher, the baker, the real estate maker. These were the people that were the cornerstones of little Jimmy's soccer team and the 4th of July fairs. And yes, we've grown up. We're no longer, Mulberry, and this is, but I think that we lost something along the way. And I love the fact that you're taking on that super connector space, because face it, we don't trust politicians and we don't trust our media people anymore. So who are we going to trust? And it's going to be that person, that person that has a profession that puts them in the face of everyone, out in the community. What's a hidden gem that you tell people, even people who live there, and you go, oh, I didn't know that was there, or oh, I'll have to try that out. What's one of your favorite kind of hidden gems that you love to share?
So Long Island is such a diverse place. We have everything from the beaches to the vineyards to access to Manhattan, all that stuff. There's so many vineyards out east that are kind of off the beaten path, and I always love sharing some of those with people. My favorite one being this vineyard called Matabella, which you would think you were in a foreign country when you were there, not on the North Fork of Long Island. Like, every little table setup is different, and they have beautiful landscaping, and it's just like such an escape from like the hustle and bustle of everyday life. And it's something that you would drive right by if you didn't know it was there. It's not one of the big corporate commercial vineyards that we have here. It's just a locally owned, sweet little perfect spot with amazing wine, and they make beautiful food, and they make fun cocktails with the wine. So if you're not just a wine lover, then there's something there for you too. And it's a beautiful way to spend a summer or fall afternoon.
Amazing. And that right there, what you just did, that PSA is what makes you successful, is that you know who is contributing to the community and who we need to support and how we can support everybody by sharing. I love that. I love that. I always know when I'm speaking to an honest to goodness community expert because they know that hidden gem. They know the people who are making a difference in their community. What is advice that you would give other real estate agents, especially knowing that so many agents have less than a decade of experience? So they haven't experienced a shortage of listings, or like we're seeing in Dallas right now, or other markets where the market has flipped, and now those houses that they purchased, during COVID are worth 30% less. So we've got huge fluctuation, and we have, but at the end of the day, I don't think there is a single market that is not being affected by change within the real estate market. So what is
Absolutely.
the advice you would give real estate agents?
I think too many times, they close on the deal and then then they just go out and look for the next deal. But there's so much value in in your past client database, and if you're not keeping in touch with your past clients, you are losing out on so much money. Because I so far this year I've done 4 transactions, which total into the millions of dollars with past clients. And one was I actually sold him a condo during COVID, and he realized condo life was not for him. I was able to get him out of that condo last year, but our market is not experiencing anything as far as inventory change. We have still have no inventory here, and our prices are still climbing up. So I was actually able. He went back home for a year. We regrouped. We got him into a new house. That was so that was 3 transactions with one person and over the span of 3.5 years. Then I had another client who I sold him a house during COVID. It has gone up so much in value that he wanted to take that, cash it out, and move back to the neighborhood that we grew up in and actually upgrade. So he upgraded even though the rates are still high because he had such an equity gain that it almost was an even swap for him. And then now I just have another client that I'm working with. She's the one I'm waiting on the contracts for. Where I sold her a house when she was married. Now they're getting divorced, and now she's buying a condo for her and her 2 kids. This is because I stayed in touch with these people. This is easily $100,000 in GCI that could have went to somebody else if I didn't stay in touch with them. And
Relate, yeah, and that's relational business practices. This is not transactional.
right, nothing I do is transactional.
No.
You're not going to see me,
Yeah.
make an Instagram or a TikTok where I'm going to, point at little words. That's not who I am. You're gonna get-
I have yet to be able to get on that TikTok
no,
train.
it's just not going to
Yeah,
be for me.
it's not gonna be me either.
But
So
everything
I'm
I
like,
do is relationships, even relationships with other agents, which I think sometimes people forget about. Another great example, we had a new pizzeria open in town called The Pizzeria. It's absolutely fabulous. It's like their 5th one. Great group of guys running it. Walked in on opening week, sat down at the bar. An agent I know from another company happened to be sitting there. We start chatting. I say, "You got anything off market on the water in under 4 million, blah 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 blah. I got a great buyer, all cash. We need a big house and we need it on the water." He actually looks at me and says, "I do." 6 weeks later, we are in contract on the highest sale in our 2 towns area, Babylon and West Islip, on a deal that happened because of a conversation at a restaurant.
amazing.
So I mean, if you're not being friendly with other agents in your market, you're making your life so much harder. You really
Yeah.
need to build that community of real estate agents as well, whether it's agents within your company, agents not in your company. You have to start somewhere. I would say start by getting involved. I have been very involved over the years in our local association. I was a director. I was the president of our Young
Yeah.
Professionals Network. I'm still
Volunteer.
if you
Absolutely.
volunteer, you'll meet people. And when there's 2 competing offers, and they can say to their seller, I've known Beth for years. That girl does not put something together that's not going to close. That's how my friend that traded up, that's how we got the deal. I knew the other agent and it was very competitive. And he said, I trust you because I know how you work and I know who you are. And I know
Yep.
you wouldn't put a deal together that you didn't think could close. And, building that reputation is very important. You don't want to be
And
the
it takes
agent.
time.
It
It
does
takes
take
time,
time,
folks.
but you got
It
to
takes
start somewhere.
Yeah.
Answer people's calls, answer people's texts. Don't be the agent that someone has to constantly reach out to you. Hey, is your listing available? Is your listing available? Is your listing available? Respond immediately. That first of all, you need to do that for the seller, especially if it is available. And you want to have that reputation as someone who's easy to work with, as someone who gets the job done, not as someone who doesn't answer their phone. Is that who you want to be known for? Because that's not going to be good.
No, you're speaking my language. You're speaking my language. Slow and steady, folks. Slow and steady, and pay attention to the little things, just like in nurturing, a relationship with a partner or your dog or your kids. It's the little things that
Absolutely.
make them that bring those relationships and make them really strong. Beth, please share with us, where can we find you? How can people connect with you? Go through everything you have. I've got what you've given us. And so if you could actually spell it all out for our audio audience.
Yeah. Okay. Well, probably the easiest way to find me is on Instagram. Very simple, at Realtor Beth Lowe. Or yeah, they did make me put Elizabeth in there. We have these new regulations where you have to have your real name places. You could email me at realtorbethlowe@gmail.com. You could email me at beth.lowe@element.com. You can find me on Facebook, Beth Lowe. I mean, you could Google my phone number and send me a text, and plenty of people have done that. And I'm always happy to share some advice or help you out with a situation. Oh, always happy to connect with the realtor community.
Awesome. And folks, that's Lowe, Lowe.
Yes,
There's an E on the end.
there is
All
an E on the
righty.
end. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Beth. I can't thank you enough. I love it when I have true industry experts on the show,
Thank you so
and
much. This
it
was so much
shines
fun.
through. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Will do.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us at the 500 Doors Your Real Estate Podcast. Be sure to join our Facebook group at Real Estate Success with 500 Doors. Keep on watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, because we all know sharing is caring.